level of intensity, you could just feel it building up on yourself. So you understand that the importance of not having a medal in 12 years and being that coach trying to get them back on the medal stand. So then you add pressure on top of yourself. So the pressure continued to compound. At the same time, it was just an exciting time. You know, you're looking at this saying, wow, I'm going to coach in the Paralympics. And I've got 12 of the best athletes and 12 of the best basketball players in the world. And I get to do with them basically what I want and how I want to do it. So that was the whole summer. We had a chance to go to Europe early just to see what some of the teams we would be facing in crossover looked like. And that was a great trip. You know, we had a lot of team bonding, and we got a lot of team chemistry built up. We got a chance to go up to see Canada, which ended up winning the gold medal. So that was a great experience. And then, you know, it kind of culminated here at Edinboro University with our training camp in August and our big game with the inter squad, and the fans were just unbelievable. We probably had about 300 fans in the stand. So overall, it was a lot of fun. But there was a lot of stress and there was a lot of excitement. It was just a mixture of feelings throughout the course of the summer. We evaluated players basically in the first 2 years, even though we were going into Worlds in 10, from the past team. For the most part, the 2010 team was the same team as they had in 2008, with one exception. And what we learned from that team was that was not the team that could get us back on the medal stand in 2012. So the process in 2011 was to open it up. So the transparent side of it was give 4 parts of the country an opportunity to come in and try out. So we had 72 different guys try out for Team USA in 2011, and we cut it to 18. It's a 12-member team, and what we did with that was we kept 6 reserves, and we gave them an opportunity to learn our system as well. So we had some transparency in our system based on the tryouts, but then we kept some continuity for the future by keeping 18. And we took, out of the 18 guys, we used 15 either in 2011 at the Parapans or at the 2012 Paralympics. So it's turned out to be a pretty good thing. And I think we have something to build on for the future. Well, Trey, I was probably tougher on Trey than any player. He was on our 09 junior national team and did an incredible job. Defensively, there's not many players in this world better than Trey. We have maybe a couple in the USA program, but outside of that, Trevon is one of the... And what creates the incredible ability to play defense is not only his level of intensity and his brains, but his speed and his length. So he came to the senior program in 09 to try out, and we caught him, and he said, okay, Trey, you got to work on these things. In 2010, we kept him through the last cuts for the World Championship team, and again, we said, hey, these are other things you have to show us a little more confidence, and you got to come back being able to do these things. By 2011, he'd taken all that we had given him and all the information and said, I'm going to make this team. So he was one of the 18. We took him to Mexico. And it was really in Mexico we knew what his worth could be, but we got a chance to see how that impacted a game at the national level against other teams. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun as his coach for 5 years, watching him grow up and become that national team player. As a USA coach, it was nice because now we knew we had a person that we could identify as he's our defensive player. And so that was a lot of fun. When he got to the Paralympics, he was like everybody else. That Turkey game, I watched him, I looked at the game tapes, and he did a really good job, but he was nervous. And, now Trey being Trey will say he probably wasn't too nervous, but I watched his face, I watched his demeanor, and you could just tell by the way he was pushing, he was a little uptight. As the games went along, Trevon became less nervous and was more Trevon, and he was like third in minutes on the team. And it wasn't because he's such a great offensive player, but it's what his presence does and how he disrupts the other team's chemistry. Because the way the international game is played based on a classification system that you can only have certain people on the floor, he throws that whole thing into a mess. He's got a really low classification for a really big, fast player. So it gave us mismatches all day, and defensively he was able to stop some players that normally would have a strong day. So it was exciting. When he got into the bronze medal game, again, on the offensive end, he was still nervous. I harassed him the whole way back home. But defensively, he was definitely the difference. One of the differences in the game helped make it a real team game. He did the things on the defensive end we needed him to do. It gave other players on the offensive end an opportunity to do what we needed them to do. So he is the ultimate team player. You tell him to do something, you want him to do something, he will do it, and he doesn't care about how many points he scores or how many assists, but he's going to get the defensive rebounds, he's going to get the steals, he's going to get the blocks, and he's going to get the mismatches defensively that other teams can't do anything about. I think that it's, you walk into an arena, and we went to Mexico last year, and there was about 3,000 people and 4,000 people, and there was times they hated us. When we played Mexico, we were getting booed. This arena holds over 12,000 people, and we're playing Turkey, and I think the first crowd was about 5,000 or 6,000, and you're the show. This is the show for Paralympics in wheelchair basketball, and so I looked around, and I think everybody was really excited. I think everybody was pretty hyped up, and so you could see jitters on a lot of different people's faces, mine included. I'm sure of it. I think the thing that woke us all up was that loss. We came back from that loss like we just lost our best friend, and it just really got everybody refocused and said, okay, anybody can win over here, so we have to prove not only that we belong, because we know we belong, but that this is our medal to go get. You save your best pep talks for the right time, and we had talked in Australia. We really focused on trying to keep the energy high, and so there was a pretty good talk before that, not only for myself but for my captains. We had the game plan set for the bronze medal game. We'd seen Great Britain I don't know how many times in the last 3 years, so they were familiar to us, and we knew there was an extra level of excitement though. Over 12,000 fans, and probably 11,450 of them rooting for Great Britain. So I just told the guys, I said, nobody in the stadium likes you. Flat out, I said you got your friends and family up there, and everybody else here hates you. So every time they start booing you, think of it as they're cheering for you. So we started there. It was a little more forceful, and we were pretty excited about just having that opportunity to beat them on their home court. Understand that Britain has knocked USA out of medal contention at the last 2 Paralympics. So that we were thinking, hey, wouldn't this be great? Beat them on their home court and make sure they don't medal. So, that's basically what happened, and the guys stayed focused. The thing that concerned me, I guess, the only thing that concerned me in that game was we started a lineup. We had wanted to start the whole Paralympics, and for different reasons, we had some illnesses in that lineup that kept us from really running it. It ran exactly like we wanted it to. I pulled it out. I wanted to go with some other lineups just to kind of change things up. And I came back to that lineup a little earlier than I thought. I looked back and said I could have really ran that lineup for 40 minutes, but the other guys definitely deserved an opportunity to show what they needed to do out there. So when we came out and got the medal, I was so happy for all those players who had played. 9 of those 12 players had been in 04 or 08 or both. So happy for them. So there's definitely some validation there. I was definitely a little disappointed it wasn't the gold. So now it's going to be 28 years before you have a chance to do that. But I think that what we accomplished was is that we moved the program back in the direction it needs to go to. And I've had those conversations already, but I think that we have to continue to do that because a lot of those guys will be back for 2016, which is unbelievable that we're talking about 2016 already. But and then to get a gold, that would be the total validation. But definitely, it was rewarding watching those guys get their medals and wave at the 50 or 60 fans that we had there that had our USA flag up there, and seeing some of them actually have tears in their eyes. That was definitely worth it, and definitely validated everything that we had done. I said I've been interviewed, I can't tell you how many times this year, more than my entire life, and one of the things when I'm asked that question is it's one of the most humbling, honoring positions to ever be in. You get to wear USA. There's not a bigger honor in the world. But then when you realize what that all represents, you start to think back about all the people that have been there before you and what incredible coaches they all were. You think about all the athletes that have been in there that are no longer going to have a chance to get a medal, or maybe never get another chance to get a medal. And that becomes a very humbling experience. But the other part of that is there's a level of responsibility for a 4-year span, I mean, as an adult, there's a level of responsibility to begin with. As a college coach, there's a level of responsibility. But now you're responsible to everybody in this country. And we talked about that in our first team meeting after we picked the '09 qualifying team. I said, guys, we're not just representing ourselves or our families or our teams back home or our universities. We're representing the whole country. I said, let that sink in for 1 second. And everybody just kind of looked at me like, wow, yeah, you're right. We've never looked at it that way before. That's the only way we can look at it. And when you start thinking about that, it can be scary at first, but you take it as a challenge and again, a responsibility. And you make sure that everything you do, you would do the right way. And the other part of that, and it comes back to being transparent, making sure that it's an open door so that everybody can see what is happening, because it's everybody's team, it's not just our team. So definitely an honor, but definitely humbling. But the responsibility end of thing, I think, was the biggest part of it, being responsible to everybody and making sure we did the right things to bring home the medal.